I want to ask you a question. Why do you do what you do? Just think about it. I bring it up because I've been asking that question myself for the past few months. See, I had a reason, but that's basically been shattered and it kind of left me stranded. I talked about it previously, but essentially I was hopeless. But now I have a different viewpoint, and that is what I wanted to discuss. In essence, I live my life to be excellent. But what does this mean? And where did it come from? How did I go from feeling like I'm at the end of my life to now feeling like there's so much I want to do? And just to clarify, this isn't meant to be a typical motivational video. I'm just trying to understand my brain, and I mainly want to talk practical. On paper, how do you convince someone who has no desire to continue and dreams of suicide to start having hope? How I started was first dealing with guilt. I tend to blame myself so much and I would never let it go. This is especially prevalent at the start of the year. And this is in recent times, like for 6 weeks straight, I've had it really bad where every day I would just think, oh my god, you're such an idiot. You screwed up so much in life. You've done this, you've done that, and I would never let it go. And I'm lucky that I have friends who helped me deal with it, understand it, and got through it. I also watched videos that helped me. I started watching channels like Cinema Therapy and Georgina Dow, and some other stuff here and there. I will show you some of my favorite bits.
It comes from a good place. I know a lot of people who are fixers. The issue is when people are upset, we think that the problem is the problem. And so we're going to rush in and try and fix it for them. But they feel like we're being condescending. Like we're not really listening and we don't think they can solve their own problem, that we're trying to ride in and save the day. Most of the time, trying to fix it is a good thing. It comes from a good place. But the right way to do it is to accurately diagnose what needs to be fixed.
Right.
What the person is telling you is not what you need to fix. What needs to be fixed is they are upset, they're hurting, and by hearing them, empathizing and validating them, they feel better and you have fixed that problem. And then they will very often fix the original issue.
Sure.
Right? And so if you're a fixer, it's a beautiful thing. Just redirect it slightly.
We talked about two seemingly conflicting things at the same time. I can't be with people. I can't be alone. What we lose in these situations is our ability to tolerate ambivalence and sit with a sense of grey. You don't have to be with loads of people or nobody. There is maybe a middle ground. We struggle to reason like that. It's too ambiguous, and it's easier to think of things in black and white than it is in shades of grey.
Why did you do this? I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help.
I told you to stay away.
Even though she had the best of intentions, the worst case scenario happened. For her, she's gonna have to live with this guilt. When we are so upset, and we often will say and do things that we wish that we never had said or done. Because when you're really angry and upset, it shuts off your working memory. You're not really thinking, you're just reacting, and you're gonna react the way that is most natural to you.
Another thing that helped me was science. I've been watching a variety of science things, mainly the Andrew Huberman podcast. He has loads of great things for free. I'm going to mention a bit of it, but I'm going to explain how I've used it practically. You know that feeling, being super motivated to do something. You feel great, you do it, and then all of a sudden that dips. Why? Why does that happen? It's all about dopamine. And just to clarify, it's not going to be the best scientific explanation. It's just going to be me explaining how I see it and how I use it to help me. So keep with me. Dopamine is the drive molecule. It's not the pleasure molecule. Dopamine can be described as this non-infinite but renewable source. You will have parts of the day where you will feel great, but that doesn't last forever because we're human. We're not robots. It's where people, especially me, fail to truly understand. When you feel motivated, you can do anything. You think you can achieve any of your goals. So naturally you think, okay, in order for me to achieve X and Y, I need to feel like this. Makes sense on paper, but that's not possible because we're not designed like that. The truth of the matter is, you don't actually need dopamine to go and do stuff. You can actually just do it.
Just do it!
Thank you, Shia. This is where all the motivational speakers that say, get done on the days you don't feel like it will make or break you, they're the main ones. It actually kind of makes sense to me. I didn't truly understand it beforehand, but now I understand it now. much better. Majority of the times, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like eating properly. I don't feel like getting out of bed most of the times. But I realize I can do it. So with dopamine, everyone has a baseline of dopamine. And when you get a spike of dopamine, it goes up. You have to realize that when it goes up, it will come down. But when it comes down, it doesn't go back to baseline. It goes down below baseline. It will go down the same amount it went up. And this is why you should also be careful of the notion of dopamine stacking. This is where you do a variety of dopamine inducing activities at the same time. So there's many things that actually give you dopamine. Music, training, cold showers, food, videos. The more you stack, the more dopamine you get, the higher the release. But of course, the higher the release, the bigger the downfall. So for example, at the gym, it's very common for people to listen to music whilst they work out. The thing is, working out in itself will release dopamine. It's actually a great stimulus on its own, but you add music to it, you get a bigger release. Of course, the bigger the release, the bigger the fall. So be a bit careful with it. Now, am I telling you, don't listen to music when you go to the gym? No. It's your choice. You do what you want. I just think it's really fascinating at how this stuff works, and we should be aware of it so that we can make better judgment. Because beforehand, this happened and we don't truly understand it, so we think, oh, well, now I'm not going to do stuff. But if we now know it, we can plan our day and we can do stuff accordingly. Even push through stuff, because now we understand, oh, it's not that I don't want to do it. I'm just dopamine depleted. I just feel tired, but I can still do it. See, that line of thinking has actually helped me in my life, because I've been going to the gym a bit more. I've been writing, editing, my own personal stuff a lot more these days because of that thing. Now I have actual explanations as to why what's happening in my head. I'm actually not that crazy. And like I say, even though I know this, it's still very tough, because when you actually do it, you actually go through it, it seems like there's no point. In fact, I filmed myself just a couple of days ago of me feeling so lethargic, so drained of energy that I didn't want to do anything. And I recorded it. And I recorded it mainly because I wanted to study myself and see what happens. Because I think most of the time, we don't feel like doing stuff. And that's what I want to focus on mainly. So that way, if we can understand what's going on, we can push through it, learn from it, and then still achieve our goals. It is 19th of May. It's 9:53 in the morning. And my God, I have no energy. I'm just so drained. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. I kind of understand it, but I don't. Because, man, the first 8 days was so good. I was so hyped. I was so energetic. These last few days, I've just... Because I get it because of the whole dopamine and all that. Like, the high was so great. And now it doesn't go back to, 0. It goes down the equivalent there. So now I feel tired. And I keep asking myself, do I need to do this? Do I want to do this? Do I really care? And I don't. I really don't. But there's still something like, I don't know, I just feel like I should. Because what is the harm? Truly, what is the harm in doing this? I just feel like I'm going nowhere. I don't know. Because I keep thinking back, what is uni a waste of time? And it doesn't really, it doesn't matter because I'm living now. I don't know what it's going to take. I know it's not true, but I just feel like everyone else knows what they're doing, is doing stuff that I'm not really making a difference to anyone. See my friends in their relationships and they're like, oh, they know what they're doing. See my friends in careers, oh, they know what they're doing. And I know it's not true. It's not true. And yet I keep thinking there's this thing I'm missing. I'm missing a certain ingredient. I'm missing a certain mentality. And then there you go. But I know it's not true. And yet I keep thinking it. And I get that, oh, I've been overthinking for years. So obviously now it's a habit. So I get that to an extent. Doesn't really matter what I think. Man, I'm not lonely. Like, I don't feel lonely these days. I'm actually quite okay with it. But certain part of me just like feels weird. Because, I'm trying to live a different way. I'm adopting a new way of life. And it's hard. Because, that was me. I mean, when that whole thing crashes and you lose so much, that means a lot to you. It just, I don't know, I keep going back to that and I just keep thinking, man, I wish it never happened, but gotta keep going. Why? I don't have an answer. I really wish I had an answer for you right now. It asked me 4 or 5 days ago, I would have told you an answer because it's the right thing to do, but at this point I don't know. And it's funny because literally today, 22nd of May in the morning, I woke up early. I had a cold shower, I went for a morning walk, and I was coming back. I had so many ideas. I wanted to do this, that, and that. And it was incredible because I had this great surge of energy. Where just a couple of days ago, I felt like that was the end of my motivational run, the whole learning new stuff, and I thought, that's it, it's over. I'm going to go back to my old ways. And it taught me a lot because it tells me you're going to go through different waves, so much is going to happen, but at the end of the day, you can still do it. And besides therapy and science, there's also one more thing that's been helping me. So I've been studying a bit about Greek philosophy, mainly Aristotle. Now, I'm not actually going to tell you about his life, all of his ideas, and all the other people. I'm not interested in that at the moment. I've learned a bit about him and I've been trying to apply it, so I'm going to tell you about that. Aristotle believes that in order to live a great life, one should live a virtuous life. Essentially, live an excellent life. But how do you do that? So, in order to be virtuous, you need two things. You need to have the intellectual virtue, thinking, and also the moral virtue, the acting. Both are important, and one without the other is pointless. This means that you can have all the right ideas, but if you don't act on it, it's not of much value to you. And in reading all of that, it felt like, is this like a personal attack or something? I talk the talk, but I don't walk the walk. It's a really, really hard thing to say, but yeah, that's just how I was. And also, Aristotle describes virtue as a means. This means that you basically will find virtue in the middle of two extremes. Here's a table somewhere illustrating examples. For years, I used to say to myself that I'm a good person, time and time again. I said I'm a great friend and I'm so caring, but the reality of the situation, it's not true. And I thank Aristotle for that. Twat. The question of why do you do the right things, I now answer with, it's because that's the way we should live life. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. We shouldn't do the right thing because we want to benefit from it. So for example, you shouldn't help someone because you want to get something back in return. You should help them because, yeah, that's the right thing to do. And in the past, I kind of knew this and I was like, well, I don't do that. I help because it's the right thing to do. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it because I'm a good person. Yeah, I'm not trying to get anything. But here is the thing. You can lie to people, but you can't lie to yourself. The truth is, whenever I did something with someone, secretly I would hope that would come back to me. I wanted something of that nature to be done to me. I essentially wanted to be benefited from the kind thing I was doing. Now, does that mean I'm a horrible, manipulative person who only helped those he thought that could help him? No. No. Alright, let's relax. First of all, I don't like that perspective because I think it's the most extreme, most sinister view, and it's actually quite limiting because we're not looking at the why, we're not understanding what they're doing. It just assumes the worst in a person and we're not giving them a road to get better. For me, it was the only way I knew. And you only know what you know. My childhood was like this because of school. You want to achieve certain thing, a grade. You put in the effort to achieve something. And for me, I never managed to achieve great grades that I wanted. And in general, I didn't achieve much I wanted. I wanted all of those things. I put so much effort, but I didn't get it. And that whole thing messed me up because it got me into the mode of thinking that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I will never be good enough. And the thing is, I kind of knew about this. And I thought, well, I know it. So therefore, I'm smart enough to not do this with people. But my actions did not reflect that. Or at least the thought behind my action didn't reflect that. So I meet a person, I decide I want to be friends with them, I put a lot of time, effort with that person, I may do kind of nice stuff with them because I want them to be my friend. You then combine this with how I used to get my self-esteem from other people. I would see other people do nice things for other people and I low-key get jealous. No, I get jealous. And I'm like, I want that. So then I realize, okay, I want that feeling. So I'm going to do what they do, which is doing those extravagant actions. Because I think that's what's going to make me achieve those things. And the thing is, when you're chasing that feeling, It's always fleeting and it's never going to be satisfactory. I never got to a point, and this is really with anything, where I achieve certain thing or I get it, and then I'm like, yep, done, that's it, I'm not gonna go for any more of this, I'm happy. So what happens? Well, in terms of people, I kept giving, I kept looking at what else was happening, I kept chasing after something over and over. It's no surprise I was goddamn messed up, man. And also, side note, the whole thing about not being satisfied can actually be explained by science. Have you ever noticed how the anticipation of something, let's say ice cream, is actually better than the reward itself? That's because the neurons in the brain that control dopamine releases are firing before you get the reward, meaning you now have a great drive to get the ice cream and you start thinking of how great it would be. Then you actually get the reward and it goes up even more. So now you feel like you're on top of the world. And then after a bit of time, you start to drop. You feel like, oh, wasn't even that, wasn't that exciting? No, it was just meh. That got me thinking, why on earth are we experiencing this drop? Surely we should feel great. We achieved something, right? Well, actually, there's a purpose to this drop. This drop can be described as a pain. And the whole purpose of it is because it keeps us motivated to pursue more pleasure. You need to remember that our brains just want comfort and they don't want to work hard. That's just how our brains are wired. This brain is still technically the same as it was in caveman era. And the thing is, society is very different from now to cavemen. But our brains don't know that. All of that applies to me. Realize there may be opportunity for me to do something for someone. I feel great because I'm like, oh, this could help with my goal of getting something from others in order to feel good about myself, because that's how I think I will be happy. I then do it and the feel good goes even higher. Yes, I'm a great person. No need to mention. No, do mention it. Don't you go. Then hours, maybe days later, I calm down and I start to feel like rubbish. Bonus points if I see someone else do something really nice, something else. The jealousy creeps in and now I'm motivated again to do something for someone else or find another opportunity to get that feeling again. And this, in my opinion, is not the right way to live life. I try not to be too hard on myself for thinking like that because at the end of the day, that's all I knew. And you only know what you know. And I was inexperienced. Whilst saying all of that, it does not excuse the behavior. It just makes it understandable. And now the responsibility is on me to do better. I should do those kind things because that's the right thing to do. That's how life should be. I genuinely believe that we should be kinder to each other in general. I remember having conversations with multiple people about when I do something, they're like, wow, this is so nice, and I feel bad because I can't do something similar. And I was like, it's okay, you don't have to think like that. It's not a business relationship. But ultimately, I was lying to myself. The other person may have been convinced by it. But ultimately, I was lying to myself because emotionally, I didn't accept that. I understood the objective part of it, but emotionally, I didn't accept it. Aristotle has talked about how doing the right thing in itself is a reward, and that should be enough. Because when you're doing that, you're actually living your life to your potential. You should live an excellent life, and by doing the right thing, you are living that said excellent life. Therefore, the circle's complete. You're doing what you should do. Good. I now emotionally understand this because of my experience talking to other people and obviously learning this. And it's kind of helped me in my other goals. Genuinely, I do want to go to the gym and I want to build a better physique. I used to get so overwhelmed with how much work I would need to do and how long it would take to get a better physique, the one I want. So I'm like, what is the point? It's going to take too long. But now I realize, first, of course it's going to take a long time. It's effort. But mainly, in order for me to live my best life, going to the gym is part of it. Therefore, every time I go to the gym, I am living my life to its full potential. This makes the thought of going to the gym, 3 or 4 times a week, a lot more bearable. So, what do you take from all of this? Live your life however you want to. I'm not telling you how to live life. I'm just talking about me, and this is how I see it. From the Greeks, life is about being excellent. You need to think right and act right. But the only way is through practice, meaning you will mess up, but that is how you learn. From the therapist, you need to be compassionate, but not just for others, but for yourself. Can't be too hard on yourself because life is generally really tough. You only know what you know, but you are accountable for your own actions and life. But be kind. And from scientists, have goals to work towards. But remember that your mood will be up and down, but it's not a reason to not do stuff. Some days you'll feel like doing it, some days you won't. Most of the time you probably won't feel like doing it. But that is absolutely normal because of science. Meaning, you can still do it. I'm not saying have the mindset of the grind don't stop, keep going. But do remember the why of your goals. Some things mean more to us than others. It's up to you to decide how much do you really want it. Nowadays are really similar, and you can only plan so much. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I felt super motivated for a week, and then I didn't, and I wanted to give up. Life was like, nope, you like that motivation that's keeping you going and doing a bunch of your stuff? No more. Like Rocky, you, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life is. But it ain't about how hard you can get hit, i.e., how much you can plan. It's about how hard you can get hit, i.e., tough life circumstance, and keep moving forward. Wow, that Rocky impression was way worse than I thought it was gonna be, but I'm keeping that in. Life, as they say, is 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Every day is a challenge. You can view it as harsh or unfair. That is your choice. But that doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. This is literally me. I've moaned so much, but yet there are so many people with far less than I have and achieved more than I have. Does that mean my problems are invalid? No. I have valid problems, but they are not a reason for me not to continue and grow. With all of that said, what does that make me? I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a good guy. I'm the guy. Jokes aside, I don't see it like that. Whilst our actions do make us who we are, I don't see it as black and white. To do so would technically not be virtuous because, remember, virtue is described as a means. It's in the middle of two extremes, finding that balance, perfectly balanced, as all things should be. To be excellent, I think it's three things: learning, adapting, compassion. That, in my opinion, is the art of excellence. That's the name of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed writing it. Honestly, it was very therapeutic. I'm glad that I was able to get what was in here on here. So thank you. If you enjoyed it, share with a friend. And until next time, please like, subscribe, and peace.